Here we go. What is up, everyone? Hello. Oh, I guess I don't need these on right now. What is happening, everyone? How are you all today? All right, it's another day. We're moving right along into the in-between time, which is, Christmas and New Year's. It's a pretty big thing happening for me this week. I don't know if you've noticed. Go ahead, look right now. Look at the title. You'll notice I'm at 498. 498. That means I'm 2 episodes away from number 500. 500 episodes. That's crazy. And I want to thank all of you guys, because I wouldn't be here doing this without you guys showing up. And that would be, that's just been incredible. So thank you all very much. I know it's not 500 yet, but it's going to be a fun episode. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I feel like something needs to happen. Yeah, I'm going to give something away. I'm going to give something cool away. And I'm going to give you guys a chance to win it. All right. And what we're going to do, we'll have a couple dice games. We'll have a few things. And I'm going to give something away. Something that I have a few copies left. All right. And I'm going to give some away. Maybe I'll give a few things away. And I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited. So we'll get there when I'll tell you more on episode 500. Maybe I'll tease a little bit more tomorrow as well. Yes, I am on Rumble and YouTube right now. So in case you guys want to know in advance, I will be cutting the YouTube stream today because I'm going to be discussing a few things that it just will be better off that I go elsewhere. So if you do want to just watch the entire stream without being interrupted, jump over to Rumble right now because I'm currently live on Rumble. So it's really easy. You can just watch me there, or you can watch me on YouTube. It's all good. Yep. Can I pin that link? Can I do that? Let me see. Pin message. Boom. Thank you. That was a good idea, Hydro. So I have the link currently pinned just in case you guys want to just jump over. All right. I'm discussing the Twitter files, but we're going to get into that once George gets here. And there has been 2 new Twitter files, one involving the CIA, another one involving the suppression of certain doctors, certain speech, anything that counters the narrative of the past 2 years pertaining to mandates of a certain something that was being mandated. I think I don't really need to say it, but it's in the title. I probably already have one of those little things below my video on YouTube telling everyone that it's safe and effective. Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to save those thoughts to the end of the video. Before before George gets here, I want to say congratulations to Matt Walsh. Matt, congratulations. You are this year's Transphobe of the Year. I know the contenders were up there, but it was a long, glorious victory. According to the New Republic, the Transphobe of the Year is Matt Walsh. That's right. Matt Walsh, the right-winger writer and podcaster, has raised his profile by spreading grotesque conspiracy theories about grooming and pedophilia in the LGBTQ community. Well, right off the board, I have some things to say, but and he's smiling in this picture. You know, it's kind of weird. He does kind of look like my brother a little bit. I'm not joking. In this picture, he kind of has a view of my brother. I could see it. Anyway, let's read about this, shall we? From book bans to bomb threats, 2022 has been characterized by a disturbing rise in right-wing violence brought on by the viral moral panic of very online fearmongers. What a sentence. Oh my goodness. Wow. None of it is brought on by their own disgusting behavior, by the way, or their actual grooming behavior. Notice it's 100% brought on by the viral moral panic. And the biggest target of this mayhem has been the transgender community. All right. I have to immediately, I got to stop immediately because this is instantly wrong. Because I follow Matt Walsh. I follow Libs of TikTok. I follow a plethora of other people that are speaking out against the grooming community, not the transgender community, right? Even though I share a lot of their beliefs, meaning there's only two genders, it equals sex, it's the same exact thing. You can't change your sex, you can't change your gender, you were born in the correct body. You were convinced that you will be better off following some mental pathway somewhere. And I have also since maintained that if you're an adult, I don't care what you do. Don't push it on kids. That being said, the groomer community has no gender. The grooming community isn't LGBTQ. It's literally anyone that falls under the category of grooming, which is, trying to convince someone an ideology or something without the parents' knowledge to maybe not even be sexual, but to get them into your army, your ideological army, if you will. But of course, it could also mean sexual things. But as far as what the orientation, the sexual orientation of the said groomer makes no difference. And that's one thing that I've noticed about all these people. They don't care what the orientation is. It's about the act itself. If you do that to kids, you cross the line and they're standing up against it. Now, that being said, there happens to seemingly be a correlation with that community and groomers. I'm not saying that they all are. And I have never seen any of these people that there's a list of people that they talk about here. I haven't seen any of them do that. There happens to be a correlation amongst, you know what I'm saying? I'm not claiming they all are. I know that. There's gays against groomers, there's trans against groomers. Like, these groups are rising up and fighting back because they are recognizing that the people within that community that are in fact groomers are using their whole community as a shield to be able to continue doing what they want to do and maybe get maps put in the little letter alphabet soup that they eat or that they identify as. Okay. I had to say that because it's ridiculous. Figures like Libs of TikTok's Chaya Rychek, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, and Manhattan Institute's Chris Rufo have joined conservative politicians in flooding right-wing airwaves with hate speech, misinformation on issues like gender-affirming care and children's sports. I got to stop again. I have to stop again. Okay. Misinformation on on issues like gender-affirming care. Now, they're, of course, referring to children's gender-affirming care, because that's what every single person that they've been that they reference have been talking about. None of them have talked about adults getting whatever. Sure, they might make fun of that first female general who's actually a dude, Richard Levin. I don't know his real name. He goes by Rachel now, but he's the first woman general. It's a bunch of bullshit. But misinformation like gender affirming care, Christopher Rufo did an incredible job of exposing different hospitals that actually did this to children when they claimed they didn't. They were caught up in their own lies. And then when people got pissed, it wasn't Christopher Rufo's fault that people got pissed. It was the hospital's fault for lying and doing what they were doing to minors. Yes, minors. You can't get a tattoo when you're a minor. You can't drink when you're a minor. You can't vote when you're a minor. You can't fight for your country when you're a minor. But why the hell are you allowed to make a life-altering decision like cutting your genitals off or mutilating yourself, permanent damage, potentially becoming a lifer as far as being on medications or potentially having to do different surgeries constantly, or else you get infected and potentially go sepsis and die, because that's what these people are dealing with, right? They're calling out those people, the disgusting practice of making money off of, I don't know if it's mental illness. Many say that it is, but making money off of people, off of children, and doing this shit to them. It's disgusting. So misinformation. What are they? What exactly are they pushing? Notice they don't say it. They just slap that blanket statement on there. Bullshit. Second thing, children's sports. Oh, this is another thing. William Thomas goes by Leah Thomas now. Yeah, he isn't allowed to compete with women anymore. Did you know that? Did you know that men have different bone structures that no matter how many hormones you pump into your body, you can't get rid of? Men will always have a physical advantage over women. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the average. Okay. The average man will always physically be stronger than the average woman. That's just the way it works. Look at the animal kingdom. Okay. That's how it is. But when it comes to children's sports, specifically swimming, when a man suddenly goes, I suck as a men's swimmer, I'm a woman now, and then suddenly starts winning, I mean, that's kind of defeating the point of women's sports in the first place. It was created so that women could have a space to compete instead of being completely obliterated by the men. Right? Look at the WNBA, for example. The WNBA doesn't make enough money to even pay its own players. It gets subsidized by the NBA. Without the NBA supporting them, they wouldn't be able to exist. They wouldn't be able to get paid. And then WNBA players are bitching at NBA players for not supporting them. And it's like, no one supports you more than the NBA. Shut up and recognize that no one gives a shit about female sports. I'm sorry. It's the truth. Okay. I've seen so many random interviews of women bitching about women in sports not getting paid the same. And then when asked what their favorite women's team is on any sport, they can't even name one. Yeah. Children's sports. But that's adult. But they're targeting children's sports. Why? Because children should be protected. Okay? And these people aren't protecting children. I'm not talking about the LGBTQ community. I'm talking about the groomers, the people that are trying to manipulate them, make money off them, sexualize them, whatever the hell it is. They're in the wrong, and these people are fighting against them. But in a year when Transgender Day of Remembrance was marked by a mass shooting in an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs, one man stands out above the crowd. Matt Walsh. I gotta stop it again. Club Q. Club Q. The non-binary person who they tried so hard to make it seem like he was some MAGA right-winger. When he identified as non-binary, their own community came out and said, I can see a trans woman, some dude came out, bunch of makeup and a wig on, maybe it was his own hair, I have no idea, came out and said, I can tell by looking at him that he's not non-binary. There's no way that he can identify as a woman tomorrow by how he looks. So by their own rules, how you look affects who you are. It's like, and they don't think that, like, you don't look like a dude because you look like a dude. So does that mean you're a dude? Because that's kind of how it works. If I see an Adam's apple, you see this? Look at that. There it is. My Adam's apple. You got an Adam's apple, you got a dick. All right. That's how it works. You see an Adam's apple there. That's a penis. It's a penis. Telltale sign. Their own community did that. Probably because someone turned him down. Probably thought he wasn't attractive and was like, nah, just because you're non-binary doesn't mean I'm going to sleep with you, which probably a lot of people think that they're going to do. I've noticed a lot of them happen to be fucking ugly. I'm sorry. It's the truth. I've seen enough of these stupid videos. I'm like, these people are not attractive. I feel like they're just trying to do something to maybe fit in and maybe get laid. Anyway, Matt Walsh, congratulations. You stood out amongst the crowd. The Daily Wire columnist and podcast host has made a name for himself by demonizing medical professionals and pushing conspiracy theories about grooming and pedophilia in the LGBTQ community. If the Club Q shooter was a lone wolf attacker, we should consider Walsh the unofficial pack leader. Oh my goodness, dude. The dad of this non-binary guy was an actor in like a couple different court things, proven to be an actor. All right. Then they asked him about it, and he was like all being crazy and giving drugs to his kid. But it's like, bro, you're an actor. You're being used by the legacy media to try to push a narrative. It's all bullshit. Sorry. While the bodies were still warm, the host of the Matt Walsh show would log on to say, if drag shows are causing this much chaos and violence, why do you insist on continuing to do it? Subtext, drag shows for children. No one gave a shit about drag shows for the longest time. No one gave two shits about it. You could do your drag shows. No one cares. But when you start pushing it on kids, and when these white single mothers bring their little kids there and give them dollar bills to slip in these dudes' freaking cock slings, what do you think's going to happen? Parents are going to get pissed. The parents out there that are actually solid parents are going to be hateful towards the groomer drag queens. Because as I said, groomer and LGBTQ are not the same. But there are certainly people from that group that are grooming. Like any drag queen that wants to dance in front of children and reveal themselves. I can't even show you most of the things on here because it would be considered not suitable for work or not suitable for YouTube. And yet there's children in these events. And now you have Antifa that are actually going and showing up with guns. I have nothing against them holding guns. I have a problem with them feeling the need to sit in front of these events where children are being sexualized by drag queens. Probably pedophiles. If you want to shake your dick in front of a child, you're probably a pedophile. I'm sorry. That's the truth. Okay? And fuck you if that's what you want. It's disgusting. If according to you, it's like putting people's lives at risk, if the effort to have men cross-dress in front of children is putting people's lives in risk, then why are you still doing it? It's a weird take. I'll be honest. It's a weird take. I I don't. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I don't want that alone should be enough. Like you have men cross-dressing in front of children. That's fucking weird, and that shouldn't be allowed. Shame on the parents that are doing that. And Matt's not the one calling for violence. None of these people are. Certainly not libs of TikTok, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, and Chris Rufo. None of them have been calling for violence. It's a crowded field, but the New Republic has crowned Walsh's 2022 Transphobe of the Year. Yeah, the New Republic. Cool. You're reputable. Walsh launched his fetid career in the same manner as many of the worst on the right-wing swamp, conservative talk radio. Walsh has since gone on to create Johnny the Walrus, an allegorical children's picture book about a boy who pretends to be a walrus. It reached #1 on Amazon's LGBTQ bestseller list. And What is a Woman? A feature-length documentary on gender ideology. A fantastic movie, by the way. I watched about a couple weeks after it came out, and it was very good. And one thing that I noticed amongst the entire video is not one person from that side gave him an answer of what a woman actually is. It was all feelings. Well, feelings are not what make a woman. I'm sorry. That's not the case. In fact, I've said I'm sorry a couple times tonight. I'm not sorry. I feel this way. This is I live in the world of reality, as I feel many of my viewers do. Between 2010 to August 2011, Walsh hosted the Matt and Crank program on an FM radio station in Delaware, during which time he criticized the Republican Party for supporting Reconstruction after the Civil War, attacked Ronald Reagan for expanding the government by 90% and defended the use of political violence. Well, I mean, I'll tell you one thing: the more I learn about what's gone on after the Civil War, about how much government has been expanding, and if Ronald Reagan didn't expand the government by 90%, it's a huge issue. And I've got a video that I'm going to play for you guys at the end of this, before my next segment. I'm going to play, and it talks about what the expanse of government really means and what they're trying to do. Our founding fathers had very specific goals in mind. They were willing to back them up with guns and violent force, he said, at a Tea Party rally during this time. I mean, that's true. Doubling down on these comments shortly afterward, he'd tell his radio listeners, if you want extreme change, you must take extreme action. You have to make people hurt. Oh, is that not allowed anymore? Because I vaguely recall, nay, I distinctly recall a plethora of Democrats saying, make them uncomfortable at restaurants, scream at their face. We need to have people rioting in the streets. This is AOC. This is Nancy Pelosi. It's the squad group. The rest of them, I don't even know their names. I don't care who they are. They're all assholes trying to undermine our country. Yeah, sure. I live somewhere else, but I'm American and I will be till I fucking die. I'll fight you. All right? Come at me. Fucking sick of that argument. The comments were unearthed in October by the watchdog group. The watchdog group, Media Matters. Oh my God. Media Matters is the worst. Which is owned by George Soros, also trying to destroy the United States, by the way. Which monitors conservative misinformation and dug up videos and blog posts where Walsh downplays teenage pregnancy and calls adolescents a modern plague. Well, ignorant adolescents, maybe. I think that. Where'd you go? What's up, dude? What's up? Come on. Come on. Sorry, my cat was trying to get up on my lap, kind of trying to hang out. What's up, buddy? Hi. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Priorities, priorities here. I'm sorry. Media Matters, man. This shit's hilarious. It monitors conservative misinformation, not misinformation, conservative misinformation, which is essentially anything that goes against the narrative, right? And dug up videos and a blog post. Oh, well, I read the whole one thing anyway. I got distracted. The problem is not per se teenage pregnancy. It's unwed pregnancy. I mean, come on. That's a big problem. Unwed pregnancy is a big issue. He's right. Abortion and unwed pregnancy. Imagine the world if we didn't have either of those things. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's a different world. You have to be accountable for your actions. And there's a severe lack of that in this world right now. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oh, Diana, Tigra is Call's cat. This is Osiris. Walsh said in a 2011 video posted to YouTube, adding that it was normal for the first 10,000 years of human existence. What? I mean, he wasn't wrong. That's true. Uh, I'm not saying I agree with it, but with history, because I think children are stupid and that think they're smart, and they don't. In another video unearthed in November by Canadian YouTubers, the Surfs, they're a bundle of fun. Walsh hits operatic heights of derangement. In a rant that clocks in at just under 2 minutes, he brushes off accusations of child molestation by ex-cardinal and registered sex offender Theodore McCarrick, claims that Asian Argento, who was raped by Harvey Weinstein when she was 21, kept going back for the sake of power and clout in the industry, and challenges the notion that sex should be considered good or bad based on whether it's consensual. Okay. Well, I don't know if any of this is true because I know the Surfs have lied. They lie just to suit their narrative. I mean, just the other day they were bitching about how the right wing made up the fact that no one gets upset that people say Merry Christmas, and that's a big lie. And it's like, seriously? You you don't see the left get upset when someone says Merry Christmas and they're like, say happy holidays. Blah 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 blah. Case in point here. I've never actually heard of it met someone who I'm sorry, I it wasn't me having a brain fart. That's literally what was written here. I've never actually heard of or met someone who is offended by someone saying Merry Christmas. It's like the right has to invent someone with thinner skin than them. And this is an interaction that they posted from Elon Musk. Merry Christmas to everyone except those who get offended by someone saying Merry Christmas. Y'all suck. True. It's a true statement. But funny enough, so I posted this in conjunction with this. This is from Angela Balcamino. I don't know how to actually say her name. I've never said it out loud. I was told this wasn't true by the Surfs. Looks like they were wrong. Obviously, I was just making fun of them because here she is. Actually, let me go to the original tweet because it's even better. Look at this. Elon Musk just tweets this. It's Batman. He's sitting on looks like a church, looking down on Gotham. And Elon Musk says some nights. Pretty freaking cool, actually. And she goes, thankfully, Christmas is over. It's the most offensive time of the year for us libs. Be considerate next year. Say holidays. Thank you. Say holy day. Say holy day instead of Christmas. It's like, it's the same thing. You're saying the same thing. You just think it's different. Freaking, these people are stupid. So, yeah, I'm going to take whatever the Surfs say with a grain of salt. Okay. And also, I'm going to say real quick while we're on the subject, okay, the percentage of people within the church, you know, the priest thing, everyone, it's been like an age old thing that we've known about, whatever. The percentage of sexual encounters that are inappropriate between like any of the clergy with like altar boys or whatever, compared to the percentage of teachers that are being inappropriate with their kids in their classrooms is insanely different. It's like 10 to 1. Okay? In favor of the clergymen. So you'd be shocked when you actually look at the numbers. I don't have a chart offhand, but I've seen it many times. Continuing on, the word consent increasingly means nothing because we've expanded it so much, Walsh says, and we've turned it into this complicated equation where nobody really knows when consent is happening. Yeah, that's a great point. And on that point, no child can consent to getting their dick cut off, to getting their boobs cut off, can consent to having sex with an adult. All right, they can't, because same reason they can't consent to having a tattoo, getting drunk, smoking cigarettes, things adults do, because you understand as an adult that things have irreparable damage sometimes. Cutting off your tits will do that. Cutting off your dick will do that. Cutting out your ovaries will do that. That happened as well. Just saying. Since his early years in the radio, he's gone from a bog standard shock jock vibe to a preppy fountain of increasingly weird far-right obsessions. Media Matters LGBTQ program director Ari Drennan has followed Walsh's studied transformation, in which he's changed his appearance based on his audience. Watching his early videos, she said it's really obvious he wanted to become famous. Today, Walsh sports a beard and flannels and describes himself as a theocratic fascist on Twitter. Of course, he's joking about it, where he has 1.2 million followers. He says the title can be interpreted in two ways, literally or as a joke. Yes, literally for the Media Matters, Ari Drennan, and a joke for all the rest of people living in reality. I am literally a theocratic fascist. I do indeed believe that my religious beliefs should be forced on people by the government, and not just the government, but a government headed by me as a dictator, Walsh said in a 2019 video for Daily Wire before referencing his recent Twitter tirade against white condiments. Mayo, cream cheese, ricotta, tartar sauce, ranch dressing. In my theocratic fascist dictatorship, all of those condiments will be confiscated, prohibited, and anyone who is caught with contraband like, say, ranch dressing will face execution and a $50 fine. Yes, definitely was absolutely serious, guys. Nice job, New Republic. Are you in on the joke? Like I said, this guy is deeply weird. I'm just gonna keep moving because that was just embarrassing for them, as that none of this was embarrassing enough for him. My goodness. The guy is deeply dangerous as well. Walsh's most disturbing narratives have centered on children. In August, Walsh called for an organized effort against medical facilities that butcher children. Boston Children's Hospital, home to the first pediatric and adolescent transgender health program, received its first bomb threat. Walsh, undeterred by the real-world effects of his fear-mongering, continued to push the claim that the hospital was mutilating children. When the hospital received a second bomb threat in early September, Walsh claimed it was a false alarm and a leftist hoax, before turning his attention to Vanderbilt University Medical Center Trans Health Clinic. Okay, I noticed that they actually didn't include the fact that the hospital was caught lying about actually doing this. They had a commercial on their website that they since removed because people were really pissed about it, because they actually were making money off of cutting the genitals off of children, which is disgusting. And based off my research over the past couple years of legacy media, big tech, government wanting to get their way, false flags are very prevalent. We'll just leave it at that. I mean, January 6th, FBI, I'm looking at you. It was you. Yeah, we're not stupid. Okay. I am inclined to agree with him about the bomb threat being a hoax. I don't know. But I could tell you what, it's not because of his fear-mongering. It's from him shining a light on the disgusting act that they were doing by mutilating children. Okay? Maybe they should stop mutilating children. Okay? Because that's disgusting, and they're making money off of the mentally ill or ignorantly confused youth. Because all youth think they know what's going on. And most groomers will abuse that. In a Twitter thread that mimics the tone of an investigative journalist who's just got their hands on Trump's tax records. That's funny. Walsh claimed in late September that Vanderbilt clinic drugs chemically castrates and perform double mastectomies on minors. That day, Republican Governor Bill Lee called for a thorough investigation of the clinic. 2.5 weeks later, Vanderbilt announced that it would be temporarily suspending gender-affirming care for patients under 18 under Tennessee lawmakers wrote a letter, or after Tennessee lawmakers wrote a letter to the board of directors. Good shit. Thank you, Matt Walsh. Good shit. They shouldn't be doing this shit to anyone under the age of 18. They're making money off them, and they're ruining their lives. Notice none of this community talks about the detransitioners, the people that have since realized that they were manipulated as kids, and now they're facing life, a life that's completely different and not normal. They have to take medicine for the rest of their lives. Yes, that those drugs are the same drugs they give to rapists that are being medically castrated. They give those to the kids. There's no long-term studies on that. Billboard Chris was on my show. He did a great breakdown of those drugs. They're horrifying. No long-term study. We're all just guinea pigs to these scientists, and they just want to make money off us. On October 21st, Walsh organized a rally to end child mutilation in Nashville. It drew 2,500 participants. He was joined by Senator Marsha Blackburn and 2020 presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard. A group of Proud Boys stood in the audience while other protesters held signs that said "Mutilate the mutilators" and "Doctors who mutilate children should be killed." Okay, that's a little extreme. I don't agree with that one sign that they probably wrote themselves and told to go stand in the middle of the crowd. But I agree with end child mutilation. It's weird that that's where you're focusing on, that there was Proud Boys in attendance, who are probably just another leg of the FBI. The Protecting Children from Gender Mutilation Act was introduced to Tennessee legislation in early November. Boston Children's Hospital received its third bomb threat that following week. 3 days later, at 11:56 p.m., November 19th, 911 received a call. An AR-15 wielding 22-year-old dressed in body armor had fired a barrage of shots into a crowded nightclub, killing 5 and injuring 17 as patrons enjoyed a drag show. Matt Walsh blamed the victims. Well, no, I don't know if he blamed the victims. People are saying that Tim Pool did the same thing, blaming the victims of this shit. If you're grabbing a gun and going to shoot up a crowd somewhere, that's fucked up, and you should go to jail for that. That's terrible. That is absolutely that 22-year-old's fault for doing that. And I don't really believe anything that they're saying in here. So I have a feeling Matt was kind of like poking them, like, I mean, maybe he was blaming the victims, and that's wrong. But I also don't want drag shows for children. So I don't know. It's an interesting. It's interesting there. Boston Children's Hospital received a fourth bomb threat 2 weeks later. Drennan is one of those who stopped ignoring Walsh and started to rally people against him. I think the backlash is the result of a lot more success in the trans community gaining visibility, said Drennan. On Twitter, she described herself as a proud trans woman. Oh, it all makes sense now. That makes sense. She's a groomer. He's a groomer. Ari's a dude. I get it. The header photo on her account is a screenshot of John Oliver next to a graph depicting the rate of left-handedness among Americans by year of birth. It's a reference to an October segment where Oliver said, "When you look at the chart of left-handedness among Americans over the 20th century, you see a massive spike when we stop forcing kids to write with their right hand, then a plateau. That doesn't mean everyone became left-handed. It means people were free to be who they were." Wow. So they're saying that being left-handed is the same as being trans. You just are. Yeah. I saw a teacher that actually announced that 80% of her class turned out to be trans when she told her class about it. 80%. Yeah, that's not a plateau. That's kids thinking it's cool to be trans. It's cool to be queer. It's a fad. They're thinking that they're getting into the cool club, right? Because they don't have anything beyond that. They don't have, I mean, maybe I'm generalizing, but it's all I got right now. I see you, George. I'm just going to finish this segment and then bring you on. Walsh is very much against the idea that people should be free to be who they are. So much that he's led a stochastic terror campaign. There it is. The stochastic terror campaign against the trans community. No, the grooming community. They keep acting like it's only against the trans groomers, which certainly there are trans groomers, but there's also straight white groomers. There's also insert whatever the hell you want, president groomers, right? They exist on all planes of existence. There are people that want to do that to kids, and it's disgusting, and they all maps belong on the wall. We'll just put it that way. He says he plans to personally taking to the street if the Proud Boys are in some way, as some say, modern day brown shirts. They may have found an unlikely leader in Matt Walsh. They're really trying to make him some sort of Nazi. Given his calls to arrest drag queens who perform in front of children. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and agree with that. If you're any sort of sexual dancer and you are performing on purpose for children, that should be illegal. I think that should be illegal. Criminalize gender affirming care for minors. Yep, should be criminalized. Absolutely. Despite a consensus in the medical community, as this treatment is life-saving and money-making. You got to read between the lines there. It's actually very, very lucrative for those doctors, so they can go fuck themselves. And exile any members of the Republican Party who vote for the Respect for Marriage Act. It's worth asking if Walsh has any grander political ambitions. Now, from what I understand with the Respect for Marriage Act, gay people could already get married. So who fucking cares? Why do gay people want to get married in church? I don't understand. From what I understand about religion and people who, like from Bryson's viewpoint, it's frowned upon. And it's just a weird dynamic that I don't understand. What would be their desire to go get married in a church? You don't have to go. You can be married and not have it be religious. It's like they're trying to poison religion from a different perspective. Like, your religion is wrong, so we need to get in there and like educate you onto why. I'm not religious. It's an observation from an outside point. If his tweets are any guide, that he's said that this country would be transformed for the better overnight if turnout went down by 80%. He'd likely be running well to the right of Trump, whom he criticized in November after Trump called Florida's Republican governor Ron DeSanctimonious. You know what? I kind of agree. Also, if we could just have the ignorant people who have no idea what they're voting for not vote, the country would probably move in a better direction. I'm not joking. If every single voter had to at least prove some semblance of knowledge of what they're voting for, then the entire American country would be a completely different landscape. Democrats would lose their power immediately. I would love that, actually. I would happily go prove that I'm capable of voting for who I'm voting for. DeSantis is an extremely effective conservative governor who has had real policy wins and real cultural wins. Trump isn't going to be able to take this one down with a dumb nickname. Yeah, he's right. It's true. While he reserved the worst hatred for the trans community, Jason Campbell, a senior researcher at Media Matters, says it's important to point out that Matt Walsh is also a racist. Of course. Oh, man, that's funny. Media Matters also says he's a racist, everyone, so we should just believe it. He's becoming this champion of white rights. When the Little Mermaid remake announced a black lead role, Matt said, from a scientific perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have someone with darker skin who lives deep in the ocean. Yes. He then said that her skin should actually be transparent, not white. You should be able to see her muscles, like into her, like through her, like skin, because there's no need that deep down in the ocean to have skin, because skin protects from the sun. That's why a lot of Scandinavians are very pale, because as I've very much noted, there's not a lot of sunshine in the winter. Sure, there's a lot in the summer, but there's a long part of the year where you're not getting a lot of sun at all. It also is why they have a lot of blue eyes, because the more sun you're around, the darker your eyes tend to be as you grow older. So stupid, these people. No, I don't want to fucking read that shit. I'm just going to finish it up here. All of which is to say, Walsh is ready to adapt on the fly as various outrages and panics flirt from fashionable to played out on the right. No, excuse me, New Republic, fucking with kids will never go out of style, all right, to these people. So fighting to stop these people from fucking with kids will also never go out of style, all right? And you're learning that right now as more and more people are finding out about it and fighting against it. All right. So you can go fuck yourself. Now I'm done with this fucking article. Fuck off. And Matt Walsh, congratulations. I know that for those who don't know, he responded with saying, let me just bring this up. Extremely honored to have earned the Transphobe of the Year award from New Republic. I want to thank everyone who supported me in pursuit of this goal. I didn't do it for the accolades, but I'm grateful and humbled to receive them. Matt Walsh. Cheers, mate. Keep doing what you're doing. All right. I wanted to finish that. George, I see you waiting in the rings, the wings.
Hey, what's going on? I was just enjoying listening to that. You nailed it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so stupid. These people, media matters. You know, it's like that's where they're getting their information. The serfs, like that's where you're getting your information. Like, okay, yeah, that's not bias at all. That's not leaving out very important contextual information about the whole scope of what Matt was saying or what all these other people that they listed were talking about with these hospitals that were actually lying and making a shit ton of money. It's like 60 or 70 grand for like a full procedure.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Person.
But again,
and then you're hooked for life on medications.
Yeah, and destroyed. No, but you're destroyed.
And destroyed, yeah.
But you got David Brock. Remember, that was the former Republican who, you know, his eyes opened. I think it was around Clinton. And then he created Media Matters. And all he's been doing is
I thought it was Soros owned.
Well, Soros funds it. Oh. It was David Brock who's kind of like the head of it. And I think he just left for a little while, quote unquote, left to form another organization because they target constantly conservatives. They're the ones who helped also fund and spawn off an organization called the Sleeping Giants. That's that group. I think they're out of San Diego or San Francisco, and they'll target individuals or companies that basically go against the woke agenda.
Well, this was basically an article of that.
It was beautiful the way you nailed it. I mean, it's all about money and about a sick, twisted nature that these people have. Because if you remove, the reason they're hammering this with kids is because that's the last string attached to people's morality. It's like that's the last boundary. If you sever that, game's over. They're allowed to do whatever they want.
Yeah, once those kids grow up and it becomes the cycle, the change is complete. They no longer need to alter anyone because that's the way society is now. Right. You know, pedophilia will be normalized and that everyone will just be okay with it because that's just the way it is. And it's like, no. That ain't happening. All right. They're going to meet the true silent majority that, you know, or silent majority, whatever the hell it is.
Right.
You know,
it's a silent majority.
Yeah. The people that don't go on social media that are not aware that this shit's happening, you know, that are like, I'm busy working. I come home and I crack a beer and I like can barely finish it before I'm passing out to go to work the next day. Like that kind of like workers that aren't even watching the news, you know?
Right.
All right. I'm going to read these super chats and catch up. Felix Rufus says, yay, my 10th mountain ride just came in. Ooh, sounds good. Rock Bottom says, I'd support men in WNBA because I'd love to see them dunk on the women. Nice. Rog says the WNBA get paid more than the NBA G League, and the G League is on the same year, and the G League is a men's league. If they want to equal, they should pay as the G League. Yeah, but they don't get paid as much as the regular league, so it's just not fair. Diana Francisco says, so explain to me how a gay man gets plastic surgery to say they're now a woman, but still only want men. Talk about jacked up. No, they're just jealous of the looks that women get because most men want women. So if you can't get the men you want as a guy, maybe you can get them as a girl, which most men want girls. They want females. They want an actual vagina.
Woman,
You know what I mean?
97% the last time I checked.
Wow. BMO Better says, breaking news. I got mom some Crigler coffee for Christmas, the Skitcher roast, and she just told me it is awesome. The best homebrewed coffee she has tasted in 60 years. Wow. BMO Better. That is huge news. I'm going to take a picture of that and send it to my team because that's pretty cool. And thank you. I'm glad that first off, thank you for supporting the coffee company for one, and thank you for getting your mom some coffee. And thank your mom. I'm glad that she really loves the coffee. It's awesome. So that's great. E6 Neon says, I used to march in rallies with gays against Sharia. We had refugees on our side of the march. The speakers were victims of rape as children. This was before the mainstream media had to admit was the problem. The march and speeches were attempted to be screamed down by the local member of parliament along with trade unions and Alphabet Soup claiming to be the voice of the gay community. With each victim's speech, the number of stretchers lessened. The worst part is those were all work for directly or indirectly for local government and NHS. They were ran by trans, not gays, who went into schools. It's dude, that's what I was saying. It's about the shield. They're using the see, it's LGB. It's the LGB community. Because once you go trans, that's a different thing. And queer and plus and whatever the hell anything after G, LG or after the B, you know, because you could be straight, you could be gay, I guess it's only for men now because the lesbians, you know, women can be lesbians, guys can be gay, or you can be bi. And that's it. Because there's only two, guys or girls. And because a man can like all three, one or the other, and same with the girl. That's it. After that, you go into any other thing. That's what you identify as mentally, not what you are actually attracted to. Because a T could also be a B. A T could also be a G. Like, you know, you could be a gay trans person, and it's like, all right, maybe you're just a gay person. Maybe, do you think about that? Maybe you're just convinced that you're just a feminine person, that you actually just like guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't care. If their whole argument is to like live your true self, they're actually convincing children not to live their true selves, to actually live under this weird guise of you're something that you're not, because it doesn't go with the mainstream narrative, or well, I guess the counterculture narrative now. It's like, I want kids to live their true selves. Look, if they're gay, be gay. That's fine. Don't hide it. Don't act like you're another sex to try to like maybe trap guys to sleep with you who might get pissed when they find a dick down there. Or, I mean, I feel like most guys can tell. Yeah, it's anyway. VBDC says for 10, thank you, buddy. When a child identifies as left-handed, nobody cuts their right hand off. So that's a little different. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, they're not saying what back in the day they didn't go, whoa, everyone's right-handed. All right, you're right-handed, so here you're forced to do right-handed stuff. And if that's the case, no one's forcing someone to not be gay, right? Be gay by all means. I don't care if you're gay. Like, it's so weird that like if you think about what they're doing, they're convincing people that probably are just gay that they shouldn't live their true selves, and that their true selves is a completely different person, that you're born in the wrong body. You should have medical procedures done as a young child so that you could make the doctors a lot of money and feel really good about yourself. And it's like, that's all bullshit. They're making it all up. It's so fucking backwards, man. Gone Fall for 10 says, I am the transphobe. I can't super chat. Oh, I am the transphobe of the year, not Matt. Gang, 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 gang. Gone Fall. All right. Well, I mean, he's got the biggest platform. You know, it's plays part of it. Vintage Love sent me a little pair with a mic drop. Thank you. You know what? I feel like I've been getting pretty good at ranting. Something about, I mean, I'm almost at 500 episodes, 498 right now.
Oh, sweet. 2 more.
And there's something about being able to fully articulate my idea that I was very terrible at doing when I first started the show. I wasn't the center of the show. Tim did all the talking. I was just kind of like, I would poke fun at him and be sarcastic towards him. That was kind of my job. And I would have some, and I increasingly had more things to say, but I didn't ever even get to finish my point because I would get cut off, being told I was wrong, and then have Tim say the same thing in a different way. Right. And it's just like, so now doing it by myself, and actually I haven't even been solo very often because I've been having a lot of guests on. I've been doing like the Monday show, the Tuesday show, where I have other people to bounce off. So it's rare that I actually get to just go off by myself. And it is a lot of fun. I have been enjoying it.
You think that was just time, or you just felt more comfortable? Which one was it? Combination of both?
Yeah, it's a combination of both for sure. You know, understanding how things correlate, doing this more and more the way, you know, and watching other fellows, you know, watching your videos, watching Gary's videos, you know, Ryan Kinnell, Disprue, like all these people that are in my YouTube circle that I don't work with them, but I kind of sometimes I do, but you know, I always support everybody and I like to watch their videos. So I'm seeing how they articulate stuff and it's very to the point, and I really like that. I appreciate to the point stuff. So I want to get to the point and move on instead of linger. So let's see here. Mr. Squiggle says, "What if a woman chokes on an atom, or excuse me, chokes on an apple?" I'm gonna start this over because that was funny. What if a woman chokes on an apple provided by a person named Adam, and the apples get stuck there? You probably should help her out because that would be bad. And they're probably gonna pass out and die if you don't help them get that apple out. Ryan Hitter says, back in the day, left-handed people were seen as marked by the devil, so parents would make them use their right hand. Sinister is the Latin word for left-handed. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
The sinister hand.
Sneaky 5 for 10. Thank you. What happens when people finally get fed up enough of these child-friendly jag shows because police won't do anything to stop them and people start showing up in grouped armed up to put a stop to them? I don't know. And I actually am worried that that's going to happen. And that's actually the point of what Matt is saying in those like situations. Like, why are you still doing that when you know people are going to go to this extent to stop you? Like, you're risking your own life to do this because people are going to get to the point where they are fed up with these groomers trying to fuck with children. Like, I don't understand like how it's like
they trying want that though. You know that they want that.
Well, of course, and that's what James Lindsay was talking about. And I brought this up when Alex Stein was on my show the other week. He I forget what he's called. A George, what did he call it? A George drag or something like the George Floyd, but of the drag community. Like they want that. They want that thing to happen, that they can rally their troops, especially before the next election, because you know they need to drag Floyd. Thank you. That's what it is. Yes. The next drag Floyd event, it's going to be that same thing that they can victimize the shit out of it and have all of their armies probably go out and spark violence in the streets. Remember the Summer of Love?
Yeah, but did you realize that at those shows, that tour that's been going on, something when I was reading it that I noticed is that where are the fathers? It seemed to be the reporters were saying it's primarily mothers.
That's exactly what I said earlier when I said it's these fucking single mother women that are bringing their kids because they think that they're morally superior, right? Why do the Democrats have a huge spike of single mothers voting for them? Because they have no fucking purpose. That's it. No purpose. And no, I'm not saying every single mother. So there's the people out there that are like, I'm a conservative single mother. How dare you? It's like, obviously I'm not talking about you. So chill your fucking ass. All right. I'm talking about the assholes that bring their kid. Do you bring your kids to drag shows? If so, then I'm talking about you. If not, then chill out. All right. I'm talking about those assholes that have no husband to actually freaking smack their kid and be like, not physically, but metaphorically smack their kid and be like, life's tough. Grow the fuck up and, dust that dirt off your knees and get back up and fight for life, because life is not easy. Women are the nurturers and men are the realistic providers slash I don't know, truth sayers, right? I'm called an honest asshole by my best friends. Why? Because I give them the truth. They know that they're always going to get the truth from me because I don't feel any need to lie. Someone's saying calm down. No, I won't calm down. I'm pissed about the shit. I don't want kids being abused. And these people are acting as if anyone speaking against it is it's the devil. Like, how dare they speak out against gender affirming care in children's care? It's like, how dare they speak out against you mutilating children? Fuck you, hospital. Fuck you, Media Matters, and fuck you, New Republic. You guys are the ones in the wrong, and it pisses me off, and I will never not be okay with that. I will never be okay with that. Yeah, I will never be okay with that. So I'll never stop fucking talking about it and being pissed about it. Every time this shit comes up, I get pissed. So
right. Of course you would. I mean,
and you should too. You should be pissed.
There's not enough people who are angry.
Exactly. People need to be angry. They shouldn't be violent. I'm not like that's what I'm saying. That 22-year-old that shot up some people, that guy's a fucking asshole and should go to prison.
Yeah.
Right. But absolutely. It's like enough people should I mean,
just
look
say
at
no.
Look at Tennessee. Look, they said this in Tennessee, right? People started getting pissed. Matt Walsh started that thing. A week later, the Tennessee law was passed, and then the hospital couldn't do the shit anymore. They stopped doing it. Good. That's what we need.
That's cold anger.
Yeah, exactly. It's
cold anger. It's not that righteous fury. It has righteousness, but it's cold. It's dedicated. It's spot. You can tell when someone's like, I am going to change this, not violently, not in a way that harms other people, but I'm not stopping and I'm not giving up. It's cold.
Well, the difference there is one attacks a person that's doing it. The other avoids them completely and solves the problem, right? That's what we need to do. You know what? I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to make it so you can't do that. I'm not going to attack you. I'm going to go straight and make laws that make it so you can't dance sexually in front of children in gay bars. Like, how about we do that? Or any bars, for that matter. Any bars. What do you got here?
I was going to show you this. You remember Kirk Cameron from
Yeah.
Okay, well, for the last few weeks, he wrote a book about it's basically
a religious children's book. We talked about this on the show.
Oh, okay. Well, he's winning now because he's going library by library throughout the country that say no. And he's like, wait a minute, you're a public library. You can't have a drag show and then not allow me in. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is I took a look at some of that book. It's really not that. I mean,
I got to get it. I also want to get the Walrus book from Walsh.
Very good. Book. Very good. Very good. It's just it's like the old McGuffey readers or Aesop's fables. It's trying to teach kids a moral lesson.
Teaching kids a moral lesson?
Yeah.
Man, the freaking audacity of these people.
And they told him no. Think about that. I mean, in LA and in other places, they told him this isn't allowed. We don't want that to infect the children. He's like, wait a minute. You're having a drag show?
Yeah, I know, exactly. V6 Neon says, breaking, National Guard bans Buffalo residents from streets amid blizzard, blackouts, looting, 35 dead. Yeah, if you're a looter when at all, you're an asshole. And if you do it during a blizzard, you're an even bigger asshole. Yeah. And I saw a lot of looting going on in Buffalo. And it's like, this is really fucked up. Like, shame on you. I mean, you're destroying your own your own society. These people have no hearts. They're just so selfish. So sick of it. Scrody Johnson for 10. What's up, Scrody? Howdy, Adam. And Harry late Christmas. Also, I'm eloping with my sofa as I am LGBTQIAF. F is for furniture. Cool. Make sure to get it cleaned every so often because it sounds very dirty. But congratulations. Okay, so now I have this video I wanna show you guys. This is a video that my buddy sent me, and I'm not gonna say anything. I just want you to hear it before we start talking about these Twitter files, and I want to hear what you have to say about it as well, George.
Yep.
Here it is.
And of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations, of which the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. Now, here are the aims for the United States. 1. Greatly expanded government spending for every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible. 2. Higher and then much higher taxes. 3. An increasingly unbalanced budget despite the higher taxes. 4. Wild inflation of our currency. 5. Government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation. 6. Greatly increased socialistic controls over every operation of our economy and every activity of our daily lives. This is to be accompanied, naturally and automatically, by a correspondingly huge increase in the size of our bureaucracy and in both the cost and reach of our domestic government. 7. Far more centralization of power in Washington and the practical elimination of our state lines. There is a many-faceted drive at work to have our state lines eventually mean no more within the nation than our county lines do now within the states. 8. The steady advance of federal aid to and control over our educational system, leading to complete federalization of our public education. 9. A constant hammering into the American consciousness of the horror of modern warfare, the beauties and the absolute necessity of peace. Peace always on communist terms, of course. And 10, the consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government, which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world.
Wow, right?
Incredible.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they have a plan. Just one thing after another. I mean, we're seeing it go. I mean, when you talk, all of it. I mean, when you see it, what they did, you could see a lot of the pieces coming to fruition probably in the late 60s. You had a war. It started with, you went out of Korea, and then you had Vietnam, right? And at that time, once again, what happened is every time we have an existential crisis or a conflict that consumes our time, also chews up our children and our national treasure, you notice that's when a lot of the changes start occurring, because they were saying, we can no longer afford to have a two-parent household stay at home. They both had to work.
Yep.
And that's where you start seeing the division of the family. It wasn't like, okay, dad's going to go out, he's going to make the living, mom is going to be sitting there taking care of the house, meaning one's like captain of the home, one's like the chief of the heart. Each one had their role, but they're like, we're going to take these two pillars, we're going to split them apart, the roof is going to fall in, but it's going to happen over time. Then they remove prayer from school. Now you're going to say, well, prayer from school, what if I'm not religious? But they really didn't focus on that. What it focused on was teaching moral lessons. So it's one by one by one.
Yep.
And you get to this point where now you have drag shows for kids and you have moms actually taking them to them.
Mm-hmm. For those wondering, that was from 1958. Yep. Okay, that was Robert Welsh. He is the founder of the John Birch Society, and that was a prophetic speech. I mean, the dude, someone in chat asked if he had a crystal ball. I mean, yeah, that we're seeing all of this come to fruition. I mean, people love saying Yuri Bezmenov was right, and he also was absolutely right. Right, communism is it's like this poisonous seed that people are realizing that it's spread a lot farther than people thought, and it's, dude, they want. They want the new monarchy. They want the new monarchy. The new world order.
That's what they want. No, you're absolutely right. But the Soviets didn't know how would they take on the U.S. It's like when you look through some history books, they would talk just like the same way our Pentagon games out strategies. Like, what if you invaded Russia or you invaded China? How would it play out? What nations would ally? Well, the Soviets, every time that they would game it out, there was a KGB defector who had told us in the late 80s, not Bezmenov, it was another one, who was saying that they couldn't figure out for the longest time, for 40 years, how do we beat them, because they're all armed, because that would just be urban combat, block by block by block by block.
Right.
You just didn't have that anywhere else. So they're like, okay, you just destroy their system from within without firing a shot. And Bezmenov says it. They're going to destroy the system without ever firing a bullet. They're going to get you to do it.
It's happening. It's happening right now. Okay, I wanted everyone to see that clip, and you could check it out. Just type in prophetic 1958 speech, Robert Welsh or John Birch Society. Type those in any combination. You can very easily find it. It's 9 minutes long. That was just a quick segment of a very important part. But I thought it was pretty important to bring that up, as now we're going to talk about the Twitter files again. Now, this is, I think, number 9 and 10. Number 9 is what we're going to discuss right now. And when we're done with number 9, I'm going to cut the YouTube stream and we're going to go to Rumble so we can talk about the 10th one, which is about COVID. So I don't even care. I'll say it. I'm already on YouTube's list.
It's funny how I've gotten used to saying
that.
I hate the fact that I got used to saying that. It's like I have to remind myself to be able to actually say the name. That's very bad.
Yeah, it's okay. No, I don't blame you, man. I understand it. But here we go. This is Twitter files number 9. This one was from Matt Taibbi. Twitter and other government agencies. Now, the last one we discussed, number 8, was all about the FBI and the FBI's involvement. I think number 7 as well, but number 8 went into more details about how they even paid money, taxpayer dollars, into reimbursing. The FBI came out and said they were just reimbursing the FBI or the Twitter employees for what work that they were doing, or were the former FBI, the group within Twitter that were all former FBI agents.
That building. It's like, we're leaving our jobs at the FBI and we're just going to go work over here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Bullshit. Okay. Wait. Why is this not the thread? What? Where's the thread? Let me reset the thread. Oh, what? That's weird. And there's the thread. Okay. I don't know why that just went down like that. That's weird. All right. So, thread, the Twitter files, Twitter and other government agencies. After weeks of the Twitter files reports detailing close coordination between the FBI and Twitter in moderating social media content, the Bureau issued a statement on Wednesday. They did. It was embarrassing. Mm-hmm. It didn't refute allegations. Instead, it decried conspiracy theorists publishing misinformation whose sole aim is to discredit the agency. I think this is their statement here. Yeah. All right, let's just break that down real quick, right? Where's the information coming from? It's coming from within Twitter. So it's their actual documents provided with emails, correspondence between the FBI and the people working at Twitter. None of it is misinformation. It's all actually true. They proved it by showing all the correspondence. This is what was going on. This is them thanking them. This is them saying, these are the different accounts we want you to look at. This is the Twitter lawyer that actually even worked at FBI that was like, man, this doesn't seem right. Why are they looking for violations in our terms of service? Why is the FBI doing that? That's Jim Baker who did that, the former FBI lawyer. Anyway, they must think us unambitious if our sole aim is to discredit the FBI. After all, a whole range of government agencies discredit themselves in the Twitter files. Why stop with one? The files show the FBI acting as doorman to a vast program of social media surveillance and censorship, encompassing agencies across the federal government, from the State Department to the Pentagon to, you guessed it, the CIA. That's the least surprising, honestly.
Right, but this is the one thing that I'm still waiting on, and I'm holding out hope. Because when we've gone through all these Twitter files that Musk has released, and I'm really glad he's done, I'm still holding out a little reservation, waiting to see, because everything seems to start and stop in Trump's administration. It's like, remember I shared that yesterday in the Bay Staff Monday chat. But this all started in 2010 with Obama. It's when they wanted to start the Arab Spring. Hosni Mubarak, the Egyptian president, was the first president to be replaced because of a public-private partnership between the government and Twitter, using their propaganda accounts, because they had asked Twitter, hey, we want you to make all these, government accounts for us, and then we want you to turn up their volume, which is basically spread propaganda. And they got rid of him. I mean, that was like a test bed for what was to come later. And I'm waiting for him to start pointing the finger from where it started instead of just this data dump. Hopefully.
The thing about that is there's so much information they probably have to be able to have everyone fully grasp everything that's going on. They can't dump it all.
No, I know. That's why I said I'm still holding out hope for it.
Right. It's like nearly 13 years of Twitter's nefarious actions with government agencies. It's really difficult to be able to, dump it. So I could see it. I could see it coming in due time.
Okay.
I could see it. The files show the FBI acting. Oh, I read that. The operation is far bigger than reported. 80 members of the Foreign Influence Task Force, the FITF, which also facilitates requests from a wide array of smaller actors, from local cops to media to state governments. Twitter had so much contact with so many agencies that executives lost track. Is today the DOD or tomorrow the FBI? Is it the weekly call or the monthly meeting? It was dizzying. See, they're not even sure. Which group is it? Which one are we doing? What's happening right now? The chief end result was that thousands of official reports flowed to Twitter from all over through the FITF and the FBI's San Francisco field office. On June 29th, 2020, San Francisco FBI agent Elvis Chan wrote to a pair of Twitter executives asking if he could invite the OGA to an upcoming conference. There's the email right there. Again, proving correspondence. OGA, or other government agencies, can be a euphemism for CIA, according to multiple former intelligence officials and contractors. Chuckles one, they think it's mysterious, but it's just conspicuous. Right. It's like walking in with a shirt that says not CIA. It's like, yeah, obviously you're CIA.
Right.
Other government agencies, the place where I worked for 27 years, says retired CIA officer Ray McGovern. So we have an actual CIA officer, former, retired, that says, yeah, other government agency is synonymous with CIA. It was an open secret at Twitter that one of its executives was ex-CIA, which was why Chan referred to that executive's former employer. The first Twitter executive abandoned any pretense to stealth and emailed to that employee used to work for the CIA. So that is Elvis's question. Stacey, I have no involvement here. I'll leave this to you to respond. Redacted used to work for the CIA. So that is Elvis's question. Senior legal executive Stacia Cardiel, whose alertness stood out among Twitter leaders, replied, I know, and thought my silence was understood. Damn. Cardiel then passed on conference details to recently hired ex-FBI lawyer Jim Baker. Yeah, here's the details, Jim. We got you. I invited the FBI and the CIA virtually to attend too, Cardiel says to Baker, adding pointedly, no need for you to attend. The government was in constant contact with not just with Twitter, but with virtually every major tech firm. I'm going to read that one more time, just in case anyone missed that. The government was in constant contact with not just Twitter, but with virtually every major tech firm.
Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Just on.
YouTube.
Now think about this also. If they're in contact with them, you know that they're going to be in contact with every network, streaming service, anything that attaches that you see, hear, read, listen to. They're going to have their fingers in because they want to turn everyone into a product. See, right now people are independent. You think for yourself, you do what you want, and they want you to be exactly what they're programming people for. They want you to be a product. Buy what we tell you to, eat what we tell you to, go where we tell you to, and stop complaining and just do what you're told.
Exactly. Yep. These included Facebook, Microsoft, Verizon, Reddit, even Pinterest, and many others. I didn't even think about those. Reddit and Pinterest.
No.
Of course.
Pinterest.
The Donald got booted out for Reddit. What was that, like 2018, 2019 or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. That's right.
2020, I don't remember, but the Donald.win got created after that. One of the most common forums was a regular meeting of multi-agency foreign influence task force attended by spats of executives, FBI personnel, and nearly always one or two attendees marked OGA. Or just CIA. We could just do that. Right. There was always some sort of CIA in attendance. And I'm certain probably a couple more of these names are probably also from the CIA as well. The FITF meeting agendas virtually always included, at or near the beginning, an OGA briefing, usually about foreign matters. Hold that thought. I know what you're thinking. I mean, you brought it up with the Arab Spring thing in Egypt, right? It's that same.
Yep.
So the CIA, I mean, my goodness, how many governments has the CIA toppled in the past 100 years?
Many.
Right?
I mean, how many have they helped? How many? I mean, when we look at what they've done since just the 50s alone, since the late 50s, where they tried to start revolutions, help dictators up, the same tactics they start embedding false stories in the newspapers. They start paying off companies. Same things are happening here. It's just the fact that we were a free society. Everywhere else they tried that, it wasn't free. So it was much more effective because, if you're like living under a dictatorship, you're like, oh, you're telling me the government's bad? Okay, yeah, I can kind of buy that. But here, when you're going along well, and all of a sudden you're saying like, well, I have the right to free speech. So does everybody else. No, you can't say that. Silence is violence. And then you start with every kind of bumper sticker slogan. They're having to work overtime.
Yep. The FITF meeting. I just wrote that one. Despite its official remit being foreign influence, the FITF and the San Francisco FBI office became conduit for mountains of domestic moderation requests from state governments, even local police. Wow.
Yeah. Well, where do you think all that military equipment comes? I mean, there's 3 different counties that I have friends in, and one cousin. All of a sudden, when we started going into Iraq with Bush right after 9/11, remember, it was when that was over, all that military equipment, up-armored Humvees, you name it, they started offering it to police departments around the country. Well, you're going to need it in case, riot. Since when do they need military equipment? Now, I back the blue. I believe in it, but I don't back it as a whole. I'm like, you're a good cop, I support you. Bad cop, I don't. But they do not need militarized equipment. Why? Well, we're going to give you all this money. Now we want, because you don't want to turn your police force. The British had invented the modern police force that we have was invented by the British. And the reason they were unarmed and still are, the bobbies, was because they wanted the police officer to be an ally. They wanted it to be somebody that the neighborhood could turn to.
Right.
They're like, when you have them armed, they become instead, what was the word they used? Not enemy, but an antagonist to the community, outsiders. Yeah.
I could see that, and they also have to, if they don't spend their budget, budget gets lowered. Right. So it's like they have to meet their quota and they have to spend all of the money. So they're wasting money as well, even though it's like they need to be able to fluctuate a little bit sometime and still have, police officers have their job security maintained, but the protection that they have, what is the name of the police protection that they have? Qualified immunity, right?
Yeah.
That shit needs to be adjusted because it protects bad cops, and the unions.
I can't stand any of that.
That's a whole other conversation.
It is, but I think what we're seeing here is all the outcome of the Patriot Act.
Yep. Can we repeal that thing?
We could, but we can't get anybody with balls in Congress. Every time it's about to sunset, they're like, "Oh, what are we going to do? We'll have another 9/11. We'll have another 9/11," and then.
Yep. We got to get rid of the Patriot Act. We got to get rid of the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yes.
We got to get rid of the Fed. And Anyway, many requests arrived via teleporter, the one-way platform in which many communications were timed to vanish, which just screamed CIA, let's be honest. All right, especially as the election approached in 2020, the FITF FBI overwhelmed Twitter with requests, sending lists of hundreds of platform accounts. Email after email came from San Francisco office heading into the election, often adorned with an Excel attachment. My goodness.
Wow.
This is their foreign influence that they learned so well in other areas, that they've been working on for decades or for at least a decade to finally come and bring it home.
Yeah.
Well, that I'm sure it's been here for a lot longer. Who knows, right? How long they've been manipulating Americans. There were so many government requests, Twitter employees had to improvise a system for prioritizing and triaging them. Wow. The FBI was clearly tailoring searches to FBI policies. FBI complaints were almost always depicted somewhere as possible terms of service violations, even in the subject line. Let me just keep going there. There it is. Twitter executives noticed the FBI appearance to be assigning personnel to look for Twitter violations. They have some folks in the Baltimore field office and at headquarters that are doing keyword searches for violations. This is probably the 10th request I've dealt with in the past 5 days from Mark Cuddiel, and this was November 3rd, 2020. So really upping it right before the election. Even ex-FBI lawyer Jim Baker agreed, odd that they're searching for violations in our policy. We got the former FBI lawyer who's even saying, yeah, it's weird that they're like searching the platform for violations of our policy. It's not illegal. It's not like it's illegal to violate the terms of service of Twitter, right? The worst that'll happen is you get booted off of Twitter. It's not illegal. Why the hell is the FBI doing that, right? Or why is the CIA doing it as well? Maybe with a little, FBI hat that they're wearing. Like, nope, just the FBI. OGA is just here in the room to talk about foreign influence. The New York FBI office even sent requests for the user IDs and handles of a long list of accounts named in a Daily Beast article. Senior executives say they are supportive and completely comfortable doing so. It seemed to strike no one as strange that a foreign influence task force was forwarding thousands of mostly domestic reports along with the DHS with the fringiest material. Let's see. Biden using scorecard and hammer to steal another U.S. I can't read that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I stopped reading that. I know about it. I was aware of this actually. But I don't think I could even, I might not even been able, it might be too late actually to even say what I just said. Foreign meddling had been the ostensible justification for expanded moderation since platforms like Twitter were dragged to the hill by the Senate in 2017. Yet, behind the scenes, Twitter executives struggled against government claims of foreign interference supposedly occurring on their platform and others. The Twitter files showed executives under constant pressure to validate theories of foreign influence and unable to find evidence for key assertions. Found no links to Russia, said one analyst, but suggests he could brainstorm to find a stronger connection. My gosh, it's like I didn't find anything. But I guess if you pay me enough, I feel like that's what that meant.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
If I found, a couple $100,000 in my bank account,
I can keep pointing that there's something there just to keep this going.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Extremely tenuous circumstantial chance of being related, says another. Extremely tenuous circumstantial chance of being related to possibly breaking the terms of service. Not the law, just the terms of service. Like potentially, maybe, kind of. My goodness. No real matches using the info, says former Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth in another case, noting that some links were clearly Russian, but another was a house rental in South Carolina. So even the people that I don't trust anymore, like Yoel Roth, who seems to be some sort of pedo dude, I don't know, it's kind of gross, is saying, amongst other employees that are like, this doesn't even make sense. Like this, there's no violations of any of this stuff. In another case, Roth concludes a series of Venezuelan pro-Maduro accounts are unrelated to Russia's Internet Research Agency because they're too high volume. Okay. The Venezuelans were extremely high volume tweeters, pretty uncharacteristic of a lot of other IRA accounts, he says. All right. So maybe some technical knowledge of Twitter and different demographics on the planet. In a key email, news that the State Department was making a wobbly public assertion of Russian influence led an exec, the same one with the OGA passed, to make a damning admission. Well, let's due to a lack of technical evidence on our end, I've generally left it be, waiting for more evidence, he says. Our window on that is closing, given that government partners are becoming more aggressive on attribution. Or maybe because the 2020 election was coming up and they were really just trying to lock it all down. Translation: more aggressive government partners had closed Twitter's window of independence. All right. Yeah, we're running out of time for you doing what we want you to do. We're going to just take over your company now.
Yeah,
and,
pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, how many FBI agents were fired over the past couple months,
Well, I've heard different numbers. I heard one it was 50. I heard one it was 100. So I don't know what the real.
Damn, that many?
I heard it was over 100 in another, so I don't know.
Wow. Does anybody know?
Because they have a building supposedly right behind Twitter's office. I mean, and Musk had talked about there's a building that was built, and that's where the Phoebes are and all the alphabet soup agencies.
Wow, that's crazy. Other government agencies ended up sharing intelligence through the FBI and FITF, not just with Twitter, but with Yahoo, Twitch, Cloudflare, LinkedIn, and even Wikimedia. Wikimedia, not Wikipedia, Wikimedia. I don't know what Wikimedia is.
I don't know.
But that now we've got Twitch, Cloudflare, LinkedIn, Yahoo. Like, how many different things have been listed in this thread alone? It's crazy.
It's all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
This is what he meant during the swamp.
Right?
Yep.
Former CIA agent and whistleblower John
Kiriakou.
Thank you. He believes he recognized the formatting of these reports. Yeah, this indentation right here, right in the middle, here, it references that. Looks right to me, Kiriakou says, noting what was cut off above the tear line was the originating CIA office and all other copied offices. So this here, the tear line, this is the CIA, probably filing process or whatever. Many people wonder if internet platforms receive direction from intelligence agencies about moderation of foreign policy news stories. It appears Twitter did, in some cases by way of the FITF/FBI. These reports are far more factually controversial than domestic counterparts. One intel report tied to Ukraine neo-Nazi propaganda. This includes assertions that Joe Biden helped orchestrate a coup in 2014 and put his son on the board of Burisma. So they were really trying to hide that story for some reason. Interesting. Another report asserts a list of accounts accusing the Biden administration of corruption in vaccine distribution are part of a Russian influence campaign. Of course. I can't really expound on that without... I'm still on YouTube right now. So often intelligence came in the form of brief reports, followed by a long list of accounts simply deemed to be pro-Maduro, pro-Cuba, pro-Russia, etc. This one batch had over 1,000 accounts marked for digital execution. One report says a site documenting perpetrated right abuses committed by Ukrainians is directed by Russian agents. Another CIA document. I don't know if you noticed that. Intel about the shady origin of these accounts might be true, but so might at least some of the information in them about neo-Nazis, rights abuses in Donbass, even about our own government. Should we block such material? Right. I mean, they really don't want anyone to know that the Ukrainian government was killing its own citizens for, 8 years straight. Anyway, this is a difficult speech dilemma. Should the government be allowed to try to prevent Americans and others from seeing pro-Maduro/anti-Ukrainian accounts? No. Fuck the government having control over what Americans see and can say Yeah, like you said, with anything. I like that answer.
Anything. Well, I mean, it's like it's none of their business. That's up to each individual. You don't want to see it, click something else. You don't like it, turn it off.
Boom. Often, intel reports are just long lists of newspapers, tweets, or YouTube videos guilty of anti-Ukraine narratives. Sometimes, not always, Twitter and YouTube block the accounts. But now we know for sure what Roth meant by the Bureau and, by extension, the IC. Mm-hmm. The line between misinformation and distorting propaganda is thin. Are we comfortable with so many companies receiving so many reports from a more aggressive government? Hell no. The CIA has yet to comment on the nature of its relationship with tech companies like Twitter. Twitter had no input into anything I did or wrote. The searches were carried out by third parties, so what I saw could be limited. And then, of course, he goes on to say, check out the rest. You know, I've been saying the same thing about China for a long time, and I'm finding out through the Twitter files, not that I didn't suspect it already, but more proving my suspicions were true. Because you look at China, you know, there's any company in China, the government could just take and absorb it into the government. Be like, this is ours now. They control big tech. They control what people can say and see. You know, they finally maybe relaxing a little bit on their COVID policies, which has been absolutely crazy. People are starving to death. But you can't go into a store if you know your social credit score is below a certain line. Like there's like automated doors that won't open for you. You have to scan your QR code to just live. And it's dystopian. It's crazy. And I'm seeing that America, these big tech companies, this government, they're all working together. And I mean, it's probably not just America. It's probably
global.
Yeah, it's probably global. I mean, who?
That's what I just shared with you. That article that if you click it, see, this is one of the first instances that it happened. This mother, not this one in here, it's a photo. A mother took her daughter, right, to Broadway, wanted to go to Madison Square Garden.
Sure.
So she goes there, and when she gets there, because she's a part of a law firm that's suing the theater, she gets there, has her tickets, and they blacklist. Like, no one from that law firm is allowed. And and they were using biometrics at the door.
Wow.
Because they work together with Twitter and Facebook, they have access to all that information. So this is showing you the future. You want to go later into the grocery store? That's how we have to stop it now. You work in conjunction with, how we got Musk, what he's doing, and you just say no. If you go into a grocery store, those little cards that they give you, like, the little plastic ones you attach to your keychain where it's like, okay, you get a reward every time you use it. I always tell them, don't use those damn things. Forget the damn coupons. Mm-hmm. They're logging everything you do. Well, what they're trying to push is she wanted to take her child to see a production, have a good time. She gets there, camera looks at her, goes, up, you're on the list of this law firm. Nobody from there is allowed in here because we don't like the fact that you're suing us. But what does that have to do with her kid? Well, later it's going to be, no, you bought too much meat this month. You don't support the government enough. Maybe no AC for you, no electricity. It's free.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's why I really want to get my own water electric source because my river never freezes. So, like, I mean, I have this flow. The river is a strong river. It's a strong current. So
very good.
It's crazy. All right, I'm gonna read some of these super chats before we cut the YouTube stream. Scrody Johnson says the sofa's name is Petunia. Petunia. She identifies as a love seat, though. It's kind of a toxic relationship, as her cousins are made of formaldehyde. Thank you, Scrody, for that. Hey Zeus, thank you for that little thumbs up. And Chet Chisholm says, I hope Santa found you and Krampus found your enemies. Merry Christmas, buddy, from me and my small fringe minority with unacceptable views to yours. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Felis Rufus says, to be fair, none of the Twitter files are a surprise. It's all just the same old octopus, just like the kids on the tracks and the JFK files. Yep.
God, wait, I know I'm not trying to interrupt you just because now you're reading super chats, but you remember Tucker Carlson released 2 weeks ago that JFK was officially assassinated by the CIA.
Right. All but proved it.
Yeah. You know what I noticed? Crickets. I thought there'd be marches.
Yeah, but that's because legacy media they didn't jump. It's like just Tucker Carlson. That's it. No one else is jumping on that.
What a story! I mean, it's
the
what
CIA,
people.
The CIA controls everything else.
I know.
If anything, Tucker proved that he isn't at least owned by the CIA.
Right.
What's up, dude? Felis Rufus says the best way to break big data is flooding them with bad data. Gigo for the win. I don't know what that means, but okay. All right, everyone on YouTube, thank you very much. We are jumping over to Rumble, and we are going to discuss the next Twitter Files, which is called Twitter Files, How Twitter Rigged the COVID Debate. It's very interesting, but I cannot be on YouTube when we talk about this. So see you later, YouTube, and everyone. The pinned comment in chat right now is my channel. So you just click on the pinned link and jump over to Rumble, and we'll see you over there. And thank you, everybody. And all right.